Stop the cap.
They didn't make their numbers and essentially exceed the numbers that Joe Biden had in the suburbs. And I think we have to be blunt about why. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
Steph, people didn't have any surprise.
Be a stay-at-home mom. I would love to be a homemaker and a wife. I would love to be able to live on a homestead and go milk my cow and take the eggs out of the chicken coop and have one baby in the belly and on my hip and another toddler coming behind me. That's like my dream, but I can't do that because the way the economy is set up is I'm forced to work. I'm forced to get a higher education, a college degree in order to make enough money that I can be financially independent and afford my own home or my own rent or my own gas or my own groceries, my own insurance. And it's extremely difficult to do that. And it's very isolating as a woman when you have to do all of that all on your own and you can't find somebody that you can outsource some of those chores and financial responsibilities like you would with a spouse. So no, being a single working woman absolutely sucks. It's the worst thing ever. I hate it. I would go back to the 1950s in a second just so I wouldn't have to deal with this.
You're talking about a traditional nuclear family where the woman doesn't work in a married household with kids.
And statistically, that was the case.
You're a single woman who isn't married with kids yet.
Because of the way it is. Most women were married by the age of 21 up until the 1970s.
I think it's a woman's choice. Before that, it was societally encouraged to marry young.
Yeah, and it was better for women mental health-wise long-term to be able to go into that long-term committed relationship and have the established family instead of being forced to slave away for a corporation that doesn't like you, doesn't care about you, makes you sit under fluorescent lights for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. You get a lunch break, you get health insurance, but do you have somebody who loves you staring at you every day like your child? No.
All right, so let's dive into it, or as the AI would say, let's take a deep dive. Anyway, the election. I'm sitting over here watching a clip of Joy Reid talk about we didn't get white suburban women and how white suburban women needed to, what did she say? Something to the effect of interact with the patriarchy differently. White women ain't gonna side with you. White women sleep next to power. Again, like that other clip of that white woman talking about she wants to be married and have a bunch of kids and everything. White women, I'm not gonna say all white women, but there's enough white women out here, or more white women in the white community, that they ain't with all this ridiculous feminist misandry that black women are in support of, right? And I get it, right? There's a different economic power dynamic between white men and black men. White men definitely have more structurally and institutionally to offer white women than black men do. But you would think that black women would get behind and support black men, since many of them have the same sentiments of white women, in terms of the idea of wanting to be provided for. At least that's what the complaints are. I'm realizing that it's very likely that that's not what it is. Like the women say that as a slam to men, but they don't really want that. All these appeals that you see, like I said in my previous video, it's appeal to the luxury lifestyle. They may not have to negotiate with men for their, survival, meaning they can live on their own, they can support themselves. And quiet as is kept, there's really not that many black women that are in that type of position. A lot of times when we have these conversations, it's like, are we talking about the upper crust of black women, or are we talking about the black, proletariat? Are we talking about the black masses? What are we talking about? Because, I think the average income for black men is somewhere in the 40,000s, 48,000, something like that. And black women, collectively is below that. So, the idea that black women are out here taking care of themselves on $42,000 a year, I'm like, no, okay, or $46,000 a year, whatever the hell it is. I'm like, that ain't no money. That's not money. But anyway, let me cater to the delusion. I'm saying the attitude, the theory, concept is that, black women are able to take care of themselves and they don't have to negotiate their survival with a man. And now what they're trying to do is they're trying to negotiate a lifestyle with a man. They don't really want to do that. I pointed that out. They try to use shame in order to get men to offer them the things that they don't necessarily need, but the things that they want to enjoy. This sort of, you owe us, black men, because you lost the race war, and from whatever, the 1500s, and Africa was conquered, and black women have had to go through X, Y, and Z, and so therefore, you owe us. And again, all this is tied to them not wanting to recognize any sort of hierarchies, because that establishes, that puts the man above the woman, because the man is expected to provide in fucking patriarchy and everything. But I'm saying, so while we're in this system, I'm just saying, you would think that black women, the wise thing to do would be to support your man, but a lot of them are completely delusional about their interaction with black men. Another reason why black men are just kind of like indifferent towards a lot of black women and walking away. The idea of Joy Reid sitting up there talking about, trying to get white women to interact with the patriarchy differently. What? Through Kamala Harris? Through this racially ambiguous woman that tried to cosplay as a black woman? They don't identify with that. Didn't you not see Ann Coulter go up there and talk about how she wouldn't vote for Vivek Ramaswamy because he's an Indian? These white bitches don't identify with you or the others. You are non-whites. That is how they view the shit. There's a lot of common ground that black men and white men have, together. But, right, we vote for, our interest, right? We know that white men are not going to form Voltron with black men, right? Despite the fact that we have the same interests, we end up voting, in the same direction, for those of the people that voted for Trump, because we already know white men disproportionately voted for Trump. But I'm saying, that whole being charged with the responsibility of family and community, men are going to support, the situations, the dynamics, the cultural ethos, right, that puts them in that type of position, or at least recognizes it. Democrats, the DNC, don't recognize that shit. It's all just a bunch of angry, misandrist feminists. That's all that is. Again, there's too many single women in the black community. Too many mothers, too many single mothers, and too many single women in the black community. There's really no patriarchy. White women still have patriarchy that exists in their community, and they're not trying to, throw that away and undermine it. Yeah, sure, the extreme white feminists are, but generally speaking, white women ain't trying to throw that shit away. You see them white women, in the burbs riding around in a big ass Suburban and shit like that. Who the fuck is paying for that? Chad and Grant Wellington are the ones paying for that shit. You got white men, they got businesses. White women ain't going to undermine themselves and vote against their own economic interests for what? To be separated from their men like black women and go out there and be strong and independent? White women ain't trying to do that shit. These appeals, and I'm saying I could be totally wrong, because a lot of times women like Joy Reid, who's a tether, women like Joy Reid go up there and again, they want to, the freaking blaming black men, that backfired. So now the conversation is, we didn't get enough suburban white women, and making all these sort of feminist appeals. And again, I've seen my fair share of feminist white women. They drive me nuts too, especially when they try to act like, as white women, they're oppressed, and black men, you're oppressed too, so we need to form Voltron. Like, no, bitch, you sleep next to power. Fuck out of here. We are not the same. We are not in the same boat. You be out here marching and then go right back to Grant Wellington III, right, making him a sandwich. Shut up. But and raising his kids, to be other little white supremacists. But anyway, I'm proud of black people as it pertains to this whole, this election, because I'll tell you what we did do. We reclaimed the topic. We reclaimed the narrative, which is, you're not going to play in our faces. You're not going to not do the things to say that we demand. Reparations is one of them. You're not going to tell us what you're not going to do and then think that we're still going to vote for you. You're not going to shame us, with, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Or what's the other thing, that Obama coming out and saying that, black men, you need to stop being misogynist. Or with Michelle Obama coming out, talking about, the black women in your lives and whatnot. And seriously speaking, it's like, other than our mothers, again, many of us are single and childless. The majority of us are childless. So we don't have that type of dynamic and connection going on with sisters. Less than half of black men are even fathers. So when y'all get up there and talk about the women in our lives, for many of us, it's like, what women in our lives? I mean, other than our mothers. We love our mothers. You know what I mean? But our mothers are not in the midst. Again, they tried to make this whole election about reproductive rights. Our mothers are out of the phase of women's reproductive rights. Aside from the fact that, how are men supposed to sympathize that when men have never had any reproductive rights? Right? If I don't want the baby, she can keep the baby. Right? If I do want the baby, she can abort the baby. I have no say. It's always been, her body, her choice. Now, personally, I don't agree with forcing a woman to conceive a child that she doesn't want. However, I do grow irritated with the women that use abortions like birth control. And the child has to suffer because you were sexually irresponsible when you got condoms and pills and everything else that you could use, and the fetus has to experience life, or the beginnings of life, and then death. I got issues with that, right? But not to the point that I'm going to go out there and have a picket sign. I just think, women are children, and they're unaccountable, and they're sexually irresponsible, and they always look to blame outside of them, even with the things that they fight to claim that they, to control. Wanting equality, can't hold them accountable, right? Feminist, right? Can't hold them accountable. My body, my choice, can't hold them accountable, right? They want to control the levers of decisions, but then when they make that bad decisions, it's everybody else's fault. That shit gets old. That shit it's tiring. But as it pertains to the election, I don't know why anybody would think that the Democrats would win. All right? I mean, the economy is bad. That's a huge ding, right? They Democrats have been up there. Everybody's feeling the sting of inflation, the housing market. Young people can't even get into the game, and I'm not saying that the Republicans actually have anything to offer. Things might get worse. However, right, because it's going to be all, trickle down economics, from here on out. But the thing is the Democrats, they don't speak the truth. They want to, again, you got these corporate Democrats that are getting funded by the same corporations, and they want to go up there and they want to, play games with what people know to be the reality, right? Can't afford a house. Rent is $2,000, right? The rent is too goddamn high, right? The interest rates are too high, right? The job market sucks. Employers out here playing games, ghosting people, multiple layered interviews, right? Then when you get through all the shit, all they're going to do is lowball you, right? You can't live or support a family off of that, right? These are the things that the Democratic Party historically were supposed to fight against, right? They were supposed to fight for the working people. They haven't done that. They instead went into all this identity politics bullshit, and which I cringe when I say that, because, again, yeah, they also were the voice, of African Americans, which is why African Americans supported them for so long. But when it comes to the tangibles to the African American community, African Americans got to sit there and they got to watch them support and give resources to everybody else except for their base. No, that's a problem. That's not going to happen. We're not going to continue to support a party that just uses us and then ignores us. Like, that's not going to happen, right? Then you got the whole, the war in Ukraine, the war in Gaza, right? Or I should say the genocide in Gaza, right? And then this whole thing with, Taiwan, right? The potential for, all this global World War III shit going on, right? Throwing money, billions of dollars. Oh, we're giving them we're just writing blank checks all over the place. Then when it comes to African Americans and our needs as their base, right? What do they say? Oh, we ain't got no money. Oh, we'll talk about reparations for slavery and Jim Crow. Because not just slavery, it's Jim Crow. It's redlining, blockbusting, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, 1954 Federal Highway Commission Act, driving highways through black communities, the purgings of black communities, the destruction of black business districts, right? That's what the reparations is for. The undermining of the black community, economically through policy. That's what the reparation is for. From the system, right? From the insurance companies, that insured black bodies, right? From the financial institutions, from Wall Street, right? That's what, the reparations are coming from. You see? But see, Democrats, right? It's not electable. Yeah, okay, well, I guess you won't be elected. You won't get our support. I mean, they can say that reparations is not going to happen. We're not doing it. We don't support it. Okay, that's fine. So why are you in my face asking for my vote? Why are you over here asking for my vote? See, what you're not going to do is you're not going to play in our face, give out handouts, to all these other groups that just showed up yesterday, can't even speak English, speak broken English, first generation. This country was built on the backs of African Americans, and then when we say, okay, these are our demands, we ain't got no money, we ain't got nothing. You are a Democrat Party. The DNC is more loyal to and the military industrial complex that they also support. But let's not get it twisted. Both sides support the military industrial complex, right? But you got more loyalty to Ukraine and what they need, just throwing billions of dollars. Could you imagine if they threw the billions of dollars at programs to get black at scholarship programs for black youth, or get them through universities, major support, right? Kind of like how they got the Seminoles down there in Florida that go to college for free, right there in Orange County, right? Orange and Seminole County, right? Because they're like on top of each other. This is down there in Orlando, right? They built a whole university for them. You see? See, nah, y'all not gonna play in our faces and spend money everywhere else but on black people and in the black community. No. There needs to be a concentrated effort for the economic empowerment of black people if you want our support. But again, they don't care about our support. They care. That's why they're trying to do all this shit with coalitions. Trying to get the Latino vote, trying to get the LGBTQ vote, trying to get the feminist women vote of all races, right? They're not really in support of black people, and they want black women to be black feminists because black feminists are not demanding black empowerment. They're demanding female empowerment. They're demanding feminist empowerment, women's empowerment. Women's empowerment is not racial. You see, they can get behind that because then they can go and hit everybody with the, rising tides lifts all boats bullshit. You see, same thing with the LGBT community. LGBTQ is not racial. Everybody's gay. You got gay whites, gay blacks, gay Asians, gay Arabs, gay Indians, right? Gay everywhere. You see? So, I'm going to watch the media. They're going to be up there with their song and dance, and trying to, oh, it's this and this. But I saw that clip of Joy Reid, talking about white women. And we didn't get enough, suburban white women. You ain't never going to get enough suburban white women. That you're not going to get. First off, suburban white women are married. If they get pregnant, most of them are going to have the baby. They're not trying to have abortions. They're not trying to be strong, independent white women, right? That don't need no kids. Most of the white women want kids. Again, CDC report 2015 and 2019. What was it? 37% of white kids are born out of wedlock. 37. Not like the black community where it's 81%. We're talking about firstborn here. 37%, and I think it's up to 40% now, of white children are born out of wedlock. The firstborn. Black community, it's 81%. So even though, yes, I think 37% is high, but the majority of white women are having children, their first child, are born within the confines of marriage. Why would that group of white women side with and align themselves with the black women who 81% of which are having their firstborn out of wedlock? What do those two groups have in common? Not a goddamn thing. They don't have the same orientation. They don't have the same belief system. They're not even trying to remotely move in the same direction. They don't have the same perspective. Now the feminists will come through and be like, well, they don't have the same men. Y'all don't support patriarchal men. Those white men are patriarchal men. We can't even talk in the hypothetical. Y'all don't want black men to be doing. Hell, we get accused of that shit. That's Eurocentric. Sounds like to me you want to be an imitation white man. You talk like, in other words, you want the fruits of what white men do, but you don't want, again, the leadership and the quote unquote patriarchy that comes along with it. You all are confused. You somehow think there's some magical shaming tactic way that you're going to get what white men do from black men in some other warped dynamic. And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're never going to have a situation where black men make more money than you, and it's not not going to be patriarchal when they're the ones that are expected to provide and offer you what white men offer white women. You're not going to get a situation where you get this black man who's balling out of control and he's going to, bendeth thy knee as you, knight him with your sword. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how this shit works, right? Going back to that Don Nicoleon, a black woman appoint him his kingship. And like Captain Solo appropriately respond, men do not become kings in other people's castles. Black women they got their shit all twisted. They're on their own, seriously speaking. As a collective group of women, they are on their own. You do not go up against, damn, that woman got a janky shape. Anyway, you do not go up against your own men. It's just simply not done. It's simply not done. The betrayal, is crazy. Like I said, like when you complain about black men, you complain about black men from a patriarchal standpoint. That's how you do it. Hey, I'm willing to follow. You guys just don't have it together. I'm looking for a man to follow. That's how you slam the fuck out of black men. But y'all stupid. Y'all come through, I ain't following nobody, but y'all niggas need to go out here and provide what the other men that are being followed are providing. I'm like, that's not how that shit works. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not going to go into the cart before the horse, because I do think that men need to lay the foundation first. Men need to lay the foundation first. But I also have a problem with the fact that 81% of these children, speaking to the males, are born to single mothers, and the culture in the black community is as such where it doesn't even culturally support patriarchal black men. And if the women aren't getting with the biological fathers that are the type of men that can even teach the type of skills that men need to be patriarchs, I don't know what you all expect. You can't say that fathers are important and then you don't get with you don't get with the right man, or you don't get with the right man. You don't have baby by the right man. The man doesn't have the skills. You're playing games in the background when it comes to the power dynamic, and then so you got the boys that have a father that either is absent, doesn't have the wisdom, the knowledge, can't give them the guidance, but then you somehow magically think that the next generation of boys are supposed to go out here and know what the fuck is going on. They got no guidance. They living with a single mom trying to figure it out. And they got the streets, and then they got, schools and an economic environment that doesn't cater nor support them, right? Nor center them, right? You got all this focused on, the feminist and women first and all this other shit. And you expect out of all of this that at the end of all that, you're going to produce strong men. That's what you think. You think you're going to produce strong men out of that? How are you going to produce strong men out of that? You're not going to produce strong men out of that. You're going to get what you've been getting. Pookie, Dusties, niggas in the streets. That's what you're going to get. And the crazy thing, the part that pisses me off, is when the women, use that as justification as to why they're on what they're on. I'm like, when black men were gainfully employed back in the 1960s, right? Y'all were talking feminism. There were more gainfully employed black men with America being this industrialized nation. You have more intact homes when you get to the post World War II, right, than you do today, right? The kids out of wedlock was not 81% in 1945. Black people were getting married. You see, so somewhere in where black men were gainfully employed, and I'm not saying that there wasn't a decline, somewhere in there, y'all started co-signing, feminism. And the crazy thing is, white women brought in the feminism, and white women overall ain't on that shit. So they sold you a bag of goods that you went and you ran with. And again, when you look at the numbers, they ain't really on that shit. They tell you that they on that shit, but they ain't on that shit. Becky over there, fist in the air. You go, Keisha. You go, girl. Becky married. Becky got a man. You know what I mean? Becky over there, you know, with her Escalade parked in front of Starbucks getting her pumpkin spice latte. That's where Becky is. And where's Keisha? Where Keisha at? What's she doing? How Keisha living? You know, again, I don't know what y'all think you're going to get undermining black men, you know, at every turn. Having such disdain, having such contempt, you know, when it comes to black men. And then turning around and then thinking like black men hear all that, they absorb all of your negative energy and then think that they're going to value you or choose you or elevate you when they actually get there. You know, you out there trying to pull your dick out and lay it on his forehead. What are you doing? What are you doing? You know, like in many regards, you know, I look at our situation, I'm like, yeah, we're just done. You know, in terms of, I mean, maybe this is a, you know, a turning, but you know, with the whole, you know, I gotta see what the numbers are. We already know that what black men, you know, Kamala got the lowest support, you know, from black men relative to all the other Democrat presidents. And it's not because she's a woman. It's because, one, she's cosplaying as a black woman. We know she ain't black. Okay? The shaming of Barack Obama and his wife, right? The shaming of Joe Biden. You vote for me, you ain't black, right? And then you have the playing in our faces, money going everywhere but in the black community. I'm not going to do anything for black people, just black people. No. Right? I'm not going to do anything just for black people. Y'all sure as hell did shit just for Asian people. Right? We got an Asian hate crime bill. Asians ain't even at the top of the fucking FBI statistics on hate crime. It's black people. Black people are the number one victims of hate crimes. Fuck are you talking about? You know, but we can't get a bill. Again, this wasn't about, well, what is Trump going to do for y'all? This isn't about what Trump is going to do for us. This is about demonstrating to the Democrats, you're not going to play in our faces. Now, I'm not going to say that there weren't black women that weren't on code, because there were. I saw a lot of black women who were on code over the last couple weeks on the internet. You know what I mean? Women like Sabi Sabs, women like Pink Book Lessons, right? These are sisters that were on code, okay? But when it comes to, you know, all these black man-hating misandrous, you know, feminists and shit like that, right? Off code. You know, and again, you're talking to a black man who, in my opinion, as much as I love my mother is off code when it comes to black men. She's off code. Now, I'm her son, right? She's going to love me unconditionally, right? You know, my mother has always given me her unconditional support because I am her son. You see, but when it comes to, you know, black men, you know, as a collective, I can't say that my mother gives black men as a collective any sort of unconditional support. I can't say that. You know, she has, you know, her issues with the patriarchy. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. Okay, she's got her issues. You know, just, you know, farting her thoughts out loud. Right? I've seen that, you know, over the course of my lifetime. So, like, and that's another thing. When it comes, you know, most black men have been raised in the matriarchy. We know the matriarchy inside and out. Okay, we know who you are because we were raised in the matriarchy, right? Just as black women, you know, in the 1940s, they knew what the patriarchy was, right? They knew all the negative aspects of black male patriarchy. You know, when certain things were negative and you know, they reared their ugly head, because we can't sit here and act like, you know, it didn't happen. Abuse can happen on both sides. But I'm saying the women, they try to come through and act like nobody knows what the matriarchy is, and the matriarchy is more benevolent than the patriarchy, and forget the fact that the vast majority of black men out here grew up in the matriarchy. They know who you are. They know what you do, the foul shit that you do. They know about the proxy violence, right? They know about the lies. They know about the manipulation, right? They know about all that shit, the shaming tactics. They know all that shit. So the black men that are raised by, black feminist-minded women, you know what I mean? You can't come through and pull the wool over our eyes. We already know what it is. Our mothers are that. I don't know why y'all think that y'all running around he, ha and kikiing, thinking that you're being sneaky. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse than a black woman who thinks that she's being sneaky. Bitch, we know who you are. Cut the bullshit. We know who you are. We know what you about. We know what you want. I know what you're trying to do. How? Because we saw it from our own mothers. So, like I said, I'm proud of black people, because I know it ain't everybody, but I'm saying it was enough. It was enough of the base that came out and was like, nah, we ain't going for it. Whether they voted for the couch or whether they voted for Trump. Like, nah, you ain't going to play in our faces. You ain't going to throw money at everybody else but the black community. You're not going to come up with policies for everybody else and not the black community. That's not going to happen. We are not going to support that. Sorry. It's not going to happen. I guess now we just sit and watch things unfold, recently, but we do have to, keep the momentum going. We do have to, I'm saying, when I say sit and observe, I'm saying just watch, all, because they're going to be coming out. They're going to be splaining. They're going to be up there splaining why they lost. It's going to be all, I'm very interested to hear all the splaining, and all the ire that black men are going to get over the next, couple, weeks to months until the inauguration, right? Because that's what they're going to be doing, a whole bunch of splaining. But I'm saying, with that said, now black people got to get serious now that they've taken back the narrative and be like, all right, these are what our demands are. I'm saying that's even if the DNC is going to continue to engage. But honestly, I think we need a third party because, what, do you honestly believe that all those people are going to do right by black people if they get back in and we give them new insights? You think that's going to happen? What the fuck is that? Anyway, thought I heard gunshots. Freaking car backfiring. But anyway, what was I gonna say? I mean, that's it. That's it. I think, and don't be surprised if, because a lot of this took place online. A lot of this took place on social media. And don't be surprised with the quote unquote attacks that are going to be launched now because, we have a greater voice than the mainstream media. Ain't nobody sitting up there listening to Joy Reid other than, the people that are already brainwashed by the shit. But again, y'all didn't win. So how effective is it really? So anyway, that's all I got to say. I got to do something about this voice. Need to get some Robitussin or something. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.